What's up guys, Lifting here. This is a Children of Morta review, an action RPG hack and slash game recently released that I have been playing extensively since I first installed it about a week ago.
Before, the Guardians were not beasts feeding, but monsters consuming, destroying others. They corrupted and distorted, creating even more hungry husks.
I want to emphasize that this video is not sponsored in any way or form, but if you decide on purchasing the game, it would however make me very grateful if you would do so using my Humble Bundle link in the description. The purchase made via this both supports the channel and charity organizations around the world, not to mention the developers of course. So thank you. So first of all, what is Children of Morta? It's a hack and slash ARPG with roguelite elements, developed by the company Deadmage. It centers around the Bergsons family, who acts as guardians of Mount Morta, desperately fighting back what seems an inevitable corruption of the land. It is a tale of family, and it is a tale of love.
Together, father and daughter describe the horror, the creatures dripping with decay that slithered into bodies stuck between life and death to bolster their ranks. An ocean of darkness that flowed from the top of Mount Morta. And the Bergsons' duty was to stand against this devouring deluge of death.
The story is narrated from a third person's perspective, allowing us to get insight into the thoughts and struggles of each family member on their journey, and anything except for the individual thoughts of the family members are voice-lined, and the voice actor has, in my opinion, done a fantastic job at acting as a narrator that you can really feel empathizes with the Bergsons.
Given to the Bergsons by Rhea herself, the sanctuary was a gateway to the mysterious lands around the mountain. Margaret pointed to the huge crystal at the center of the den, revealing their next task.
You can play as 6 different characters of the Bergson family, each with their own unique skill tree and abilities that gradually unlock as you progress the game. To level up, you need experience, and experience is earned as you defeat enemies in the many different zones, of which all are randomized, making each revisit to the zone a fresh experience in case you die or in case you want to go back and farm it again. The zones and the enemies you encounter in these gets unlocked as you progress the story and gradually become harder and harder, but in true RPG hack and slash fashion, it is possible to go back to the zones and then grind them out for a while to level up or earn currency to unlock upgrades in case you find the difficulty of one zone too hard to complete. To complete those zones, you will have to rely on quick reflexes, proper timing, and an understanding of the character you play. Whenever you aren't on a mission, you will find yourself in the home of the Bergson mansion. Here you can get an idea of what each character thinks, access upgrades via the workshop and the Book of Rhea, and trigger story events. You can also enter the library, which holds additional background information on the family and works sort of like a codex for items and miscellaneous lore you discover throughout the journey. I found the pace and difficulty of the game very satisfying. The game is challenging enough to make me reconsider the skills I've allocated for my character, and if need be, try out something different in case I encounter something tough.
Margaret asked Ben to prepare his workshop. He would have to take charge of enhancing the warrior family's weapons and armor.
Since Uncle Ben's workshop and the Book of Rhea require currency for various upgrades, not specific to the individual characters, such as global armor, damage, movement speed and critical strike chance increases, then you're going to want to pick up gold, or what is referred to as mort, on your missions. And upgrades can get expensive, but they're very much worth it. The upside to this is that even something as common as gold dropping feels rewarding. So much so that I, on all my missions, made sure to clear out every area in each zone just to make sure I got the most amount of gold possible per mission, so I could upgrade my characters as much as possible. Via the Book of Rare, it's even possible to unlock an upgrade that further increases the amount of gold enemies and chests drop, allowing you to be temporarily set back by paying for it here and now, but over time managing to scrape in much more than you initially invested. And as I said, the game difficulty is hard enough for you to consider your actions, both in terms of how you fight the enemies and level up your character, but also in how you spend your gold on upgrades, making this game feel incredibly rewarding as you play through it. If I do have to nitpick, I've gotta admit that the final encounter should have been much more difficult. While still a great experience, the encounter was for some reason much easier than many previous ones, and that of course can make it feel a bit anticlimactic. A big part of what makes the game interesting is how different each character feels from one another. In Children of Morta, you have anything from the traditional sword and board tank, the archer, the assassin, the fist-fighting monk, the hammer to face two-hander brute, and the sorceress to pick from. They each have a different skill tree, which has enough customization to enable different ways of playing the character. At skill level 1, each character starts out with a regular attack, and as you begin to level up, you can unlock additional abilities that you can use actively and that can then further be linked with other passive nodes that support the skill in one way or another. A quick example of this is if we take Kevin here, one of the youngest members of the family. His Shadow Cloak ability, which makes him enter stealth for a short duration, can be paired up with Execute, making his first hit as he emerges from the shadows deal up to 300% more damage at rank 3. Then depending on how you have spent your upgrades at the workshop, this can further be improved upon by having a high critical strike chance and multiplier, or by spending additional skill points in the Shadow Dance or Rogue Luck passives to further supplement the skill. Another interesting aspect to character building in Children of Morta is that while it is possible to only level one character and focus on just that alone, there are several benefits to leveling them all. At certain skill thresholds, each character unlocks an ability that globally affects all of the other Bergson family members. For instance, when you've spent what equals to 4 skill points in John's skill tree, the Of the Same Blood passive becomes allocated, and then globally and passively increases the max health of each family member. Each character has 4 passives that globally will affect other members of the Bergson family if you manage to unlock them. During my playthrough, I wanted to unlock all of these, and while that of course requires a bit more time invested, the rewards are well worth it in my opinion. It also feels great knowing that even when you're playing a character other than your own personal favorite, then by unlocking these global skills you still indirectly are leveling up your favorite character, and through this you also get to realize how different each character feels, and it becomes apparent how much each different playstyle differs against enemies and bosses throughout the game. On missions you will also find various items that can have powerful ways of modulating your character. Some have to be used actively and can provide anything from a slow effect to nearby enemies to a functional decoy totem to an absorption shield, etc. There is a lot of these. Then there are others that directly influence the skills of your character, such as making Linda's regular bow attack shoot 3 projectiles instead of just 1, or having Joey's Cyclone ability leech life on hit. There are tons of different modifications, and for many of these you can have multiple active at the same time, making up for some really fun and interesting combinations. This together with the randomized zone generation makes each attempt on completion feel different enough from the previous one to make it exciting. Finally, I want to point out that if you're anything like me, you might at first be critical of what you see purely based on the graphics and art style of the game. The bit-styled visuals have never really appealed to me, and I must admit that I've turned down many games in the past purely based on this, which is ironic as I definitely value gameplay over graphics. However, as I overcame my initial reluctance to try out the Children of Morta, I realized as I was playing the game that rather than feeling like I was playing a game with poor graphics, I was just impressed with how beautiful the game actually is. Never once did the art style prevent me from enjoying the game. So if you're reluctant to try it out purely based on that, then ignore it and give it a try anyway. Overall, the Children of Morta is a fantastic game that I am more than happy to have spent my time with. I hope there will be an expansion with even more character customization and additional zones to explore, and a continuation with more detail of each person of the Bergson family. If this review got you convinced to try out the game, then check out the Humble Bundle link in the description of the video or by clicking the card in the upper right side of the video. And thank you very much if you do. As always, a special thanks to my patrons, and if you're sitting there with a question, then feel free to ask them in the comments below and I will get to you. Thank you for watching, and bros, do you even nerd?